Long ago, before humans built villages and roads, the deep forest of the lower Niger was alive with voices, talking animals, whispering rivers, and trees that could bend to greet the moon. In this enchanted forest lived two great gorillas, whose story is still sung by the elders in the evenings. Their names were Okonkwo and Lolo. Okonkwo, the red-cap gorilla. Okonkwo was no ordinary gorilla. He was a mighty silverback, proud and wise, whose chest was broad like the trunk of an Iroko tree. Among the animals, he was known as a chief, an Igbo chief of the gorillas. He wore upon his head a bright red cap, woven from raffia, feathers, and charms of the ancestors. Around his neck dangled coral beads, the kind human chiefs wore, and across his shoulders was a wrapper striped with deep forest dyes. When Okonkwo walked, the ground shook, yet he never harmed the weak. Instead, he solved quarrels between animals, settled disputes over land, and led the forest in festivals of peace. His voice carried like the Ojin gong, and when he raised his staff, even the proud leopards bowed. But though he was powerful, his heart longed for something beyond rulership. He wanted love. Lolo, the gentle one. Far across the forest, by the dancing river where moonlight played on the water, lived Lolo, a female gorilla as graceful as the morning dew. Unlike others of her kind, she loved beauty and adornment. She tied soft cloth around her waist, decorated her fur with cowries, and wore beads that jingled like laughter. The animals teased her, calling her Lolo the bride, for she always looked ready for a wedding. She danced in the evenings, her steps light as falling palm kernels, her laughter sweeter than the flute. And though many young gorillas sought her hand, she refused them all, saying, "My spirit waits for one whose soul can speak to mine." The meeting. One dry season, the forest grew restless. The rivers shrank, fruits were scarce, and quarrels broke out among the animals. Leopards fought hyenas, antelopes accused bush pigs of stealing crops, and chaos spread. The elders called for Okonkwo, the gorilla chief, to hold a council beneath the great Iroko tree. That day, as Okonkwo raised his staff to calm the forest, Lolo came too, bringing water calabashes for the thirsty. The moment Okonkwo saw her, his mighty heart stumbled. And when Lolo lifted her eyes to the chief in his red cap, she felt her spirit sing. Okonkwo spoke. "Woman of the shining beads, who are you, that even the sun pauses to watch you?" Lolo bowed gently. "I am Lolo, daughter of the river breeze, friend of laughter." "And you, great chief, who are you to wear the cap of ancestors and yet gaze at me like a humble drummer?" The forest grew silent, for every animal could see that something greater than quarrels was happening beneath the Iroko that day. Courtship of the gorillas. From that day, Okonkwo and Lolo began their courtship. He would send her kola nuts carried by parrots, while she sent him baskets of sweet bananas tied with palm fronds. He sang for her with the Ojin drum, his deep voice echoing through valleys. She danced for him by the moon, her cloth swirling like rivers. Yet love is never without trial. Some jealous animals whispered, "How can a great chief marry a dancer? A gorilla of beads cannot sit upon a throne of wisdom." But Okonkwo silenced them. "Wisdom without joy is like yam without palm oil. Lolo is the oil for my yam, the test of the spirits." Still, the spirit of the forest would not let such love pass without a test. One night, the sky darkened, and the wind brought a voice. "Okonkwo and Lolo, if your love is true, face the trial of unity. Cross the river of doubt, climb the hill of patience, and stand before the fire of truth. If you succeed, you shall be blessed. If you fail, you shall forget each other forever." So they set out together. At the river of doubt, spirits tried to trick them. A crocodile whispered to Lolo, "He will leave you when beauty fades." But Okonkwo held her hand and roared, "Her beauty is her spirit, which never fades." And the river parted for them. At the hill of patience, stones rolled down to block their way. Lolo grew weary, but Okonkwo bent low, letting her ride upon his back. Together they climbed, showing patience in love. At the fire of truth, flames rose high, daring them to cross. Okonkwo said, "Let me go first." But Lolo replied, "No, love means walking together." Hand in hand, they stepped into the fire, yet the flames turned into flowers, for their truth was pure. The wedding of the forest. The spirits blessed them, and the forest prepared a wedding such as had never been seen. The parrots sang, the elephants drummed on hollow trees, and the river shone like silver cloth. Okonkwo arrived in his red cap and coral beads, while Lolo wore cloths of dazzling colors, her waist tied with shells that rang with every step. The tortoise, the trickster, was master of ceremonies, while the eagle flew down carrying kola nuts. Okonkwo broke one, saying, "To the ancestors, to the spirits, and to Lolo, the joy of my soul." The animals shouted, "Ibo kwenu! Kwenu! Kwezuonu!" Thus the two gorillas were joined, chief and dancer, strength and beauty, wisdom and joy. Their love brought peace back to the forest, for when they rode together, even the rivers flowed fuller, and fruits returned to the trees. The legacy. To this day, the Igbo elders say that when you hear gorillas drumming their chests in the forest, it is Okonkwo teaching his children strength. And when you see the gorilla mothers dancing with their little ones, it is Lolo passing down joy. The red cap and the bright cloth remain symbols that love is not only power or beauty, but the union of both, tested by doubt, lifted by patience,